Happy Sunday. Happy last day of 2024. For those of you joining me today, good for you. Over all the years that I've been helping folks change their physique, manage symptoms using vibration plates, I find those with success long term get started before all the pressure of the new year and the competition and the measuring and it's just there's so much pressure in the new year for that new you. um, so I would like you to each make your own resolutions, but keep them to yourself and be consistent. And we're starting early. It's the last day of 2023. I've been doing a lot of medical symptom management type things, so today I thought it would be fun to do a workout. Normally I am here on Mondays, but because of the way Christmas and New Year's Day has fallen, I thought it would be fun to join you today on Sunday, and I'll see you next Monday for my following after New Year's for my regular session. So today I'm going to go over, it's going to be a little bit more challenging. I am going to start with a seated warm up, and we're going to progress to some standing and on the floor exercises. I mentioned in my description that we're going to be focusing on some weight loss and fitness things. Weight loss means something to everyone, and it doesn't mean that you need to do sit-ups for 3 hours a day. There's some tips I'm going to offer you there, but a lot of the tips I'm doing today are also good for strength, bone density. Weight loss is about pushing yourself to that fatigue point, pushing the body within your own range of motion and your own ability. We do deal with a lot of issues in my groups and in the Life Pro page, as far as, I got a bad knee, I got a bad back. So if you are dealing with something on the surface that is holding you back from achieving those New Year's goals, sometimes using your plate short term in the form of a warm up or to manage symptoms for a minute or two as they surface is a great way to use your plate. As always, it's not always a big workout of 10 to 15 minutes. Sometimes it's just using it as a lifestyle too. So we've done lots of examples. What I'd like to invite at the end of this session, if you do have your own fitness goals, or if you are dealing with a deficiency, a diagnosis of some sort that is holding you back from those fitness goals, I invite you to ask me questions, and we'll answer some of those at the end of the live here. What I'd like someone to do, if you are joining me, could someone let me know if you see and hear me on the other end before I get to the machine and start kicking your butts? I do seem to be up and live on the VIP and the main page, so I think we are good to go, but just let me know if you're having any issues on and hearing me. With that said, anyone? Facebook user, thank you. Yes, both see and hear. And there is about a 20-second delay. So if you are staying with me for this, very simple accessories. I am starting in a chair today. Many of you are dealing with poor mobility and fatigue, but you want to get fit, but sometimes completely standing on the machine is taxing before you get to the workout stuff. So I'm going to start with a seated warm up today, and it doesn't entail very much. I'm taking my notes with me. I am working out on the Relaxa vibe today. I think you guys can see my feet a little bit better on camera. And as always, I am using it in oscillating mode. I've got it moved around for some of the positions I'm going to be doing here a little bit later. Oh, actually, you know what? I have it backwards for what I want to do. 1 second. There. I stay fit by moving these things around all day. Okay, so many of you, I've had a lot of questions when I use my seated sessions. How tall is your stool, Debbie? It's not a universal height thing. It's more about your height and your body type. The goal when you're using your plate in a seated position is you want those legs at a good 90-degree angle. I don't want you downhill. Even a little bit higher is better than lower. Picture yourself sitting in that lazy boy recliner that's got no padding left, and it's like an uphill battle to get up out of it. When you're training on your vibration plate, I always talk about functional positions. And for me, I prefer an adjustable stool because I do work with many different types of clients. and we have different heights in our home. But the goal is, whether you're using a chair with a couple of pillows, adults, a traditional chair is typically too low. You've got anywhere from 6 to 10 inches that your machine is going to lift your feet off the ground, depending on what model. And you just want those legs at a good 90 degree. So I'm working in slower speeds so you can see the visuals on camera, but I always recommend using a higher speed. I'm working in oscillating. Oscillating movement is the teeter-totter, side to side, mimics how we walk, also referred to as pivotal or side alternating vertical. There's lots of different terms out there, but it's the most natural movement. There's different types of movements. I coach oscillating because it is the most functional. It is the most tolerable. More of my clients over the years, almost 2 decades, I've been working with these machines, prefer this movement, and Life Pros models all offer oscillating. So it doesn't matter what mode you're using. If you are using oscillating, there's a couple of adjustments. The biggest one is your foot position. So if you're really wide, everybody thinks you got to go really wide to get all the benefits. What you're doing by going wide with your feet is you're getting the most movement or the most impact. And many of you starting out, it is the new year. So for those of you that are joining me with your new vibration plates, we have this mentality thinking we should start slow, like a treadmill or an elliptical. But on a vibration plate, the slow speeds are very choppy. They're very wobbly. They're very jarring. And when you combine that with a wide foot placement and you got bad knees or you got a bad hip, I had several messages I woke up to this morning. I don't know what I did, but I hurt myself on my machine. What did you do? How long did you do it for? But I've been doing this long enough that 99.999 out of 100 people start with wide feet because we think we're getting the most benefits, but we start slow, thinking, that's the best way to start. But you stick it out for your preset time of 10 to 15 minutes. If you are just getting off the couch for the first time in a decade, you have no business going the full time. I know it doesn't seem like there's a whole lot of action. And for those of you dealing with chronic issues, it actually feels really good to get the lymph and the circulation going. So it's easy to overdo it. I want to stress starting conservatively. So feet, no more than hip width apart, closer if you want intensity, and bring your machine up to a mid speed. So if you're working on a Rumblex model like I am today, I want you in the 30 to 40 range. If you're working on a waiver, a mini waiver, where you've got 99 speeds, I want you in the 50 to 60 range with feet no more than hip width apart or closer. And what you'll find with those mid or even higher speeds, they're smoother. You're moving more times per second. It's less choppy. The body's got less time to react, and you're getting a little bit more done in less time. So if you're dealing with chronic issues, you're just using this to get some energy, boost some circulation, you really only need a minute or two. So my legs have been going here for about 3-4 minutes during my yapping. The first part of the warm up is we're going to be doing some upper body. So the feet are nice and warmed up. I want to get the upper body a little bit more attention. I like to lean over, put my elbows on my knees. If you're finding, on the legs it was comfortable, but now that you've added your knees, it's just a little bit too much action. If you're on your elbows, your head should be past your knees and you shouldn't be feeling a whole lot of head vibration. You should feel it more in the neck and the shoulders. But if it's feeling too aggressive, bring the feet closer. Okay, so bring your feet closer to reduce the intensity or the strength of the movement. Okay, and do whatever you do when you have no neck or shoulder tension. While you're sitting here, the vibration is just adding more circulation, more lymph, good relaxation and warm up effects. Roll your shoulders, turn your head, do what feels good. For those of you that are dealing with the I sit too much syndrome, which brings anything from neuropathy to sciatic issues, I want to do a little bit of a seated leg lift, which is also a stretch. So by sitting here, we're going to lift, pull those toes towards you. You're going to feel the calf stretching and up into the underside of the thigh. This is just to warm us up before we get standing. If you are dealing with sciatic issues, a very, very simple tweak to this position while you're lifting this leg, and you may not be able to lift as long as me or as straight or as high as me, just work within your own range of motion. But while you're doing this lifting action, nice straight spine, engage that core, and lift your head and look up at the same time. And it's going to open up that channel. It's if you are dealing with sciatic tension, hips are locking up, those type of things. This is a really easy stretch. I love warming up using this, but you can do this seated at your kitchen table or at your desk. The machine just gives you more benefit. All a vibration machine is an environment that increases the benefits of the exercises you're doing. The better your technique and the more consistent you are, the more you're going to realize those results short and long term. So we're going to move to some standing exercises. I'll move my chair over here. And we're going to start with some very simple step-ups. I want to get a little bit of blood moving. I want to get the heart rate going a little bit if you're dealing with chronic fatigue issues, respiratory issues. Traditional cardio, I hate the word cardio. It means something different to everyone. Cardio refers to your blood and its vessels, and very often we think of cardio as lung capacity or lung function. So I want to increase your wind. So depending on how much you want to increase your wind, maybe have some tunes going. I want you to slowly step up and step back down. And I'm seeing my head is about to get cut off on camera. When you step up onto the plate, I want you keeping those knees slightly bent. If you want to increase your pace, it really depends on the tunes you're listening to. But something that's comfortable for you. Remember, this is the first exercise. So if you are dealing with fatigue or you're just getting started, don't overdo it. The chair is a good idea to keep close if you do need to take a break. If you're dealing with poor balance, mobility, it's a safety thing too if you need to take a break. So I would like to see you do this for about a minute, two, if you want to, if you're working on endurance or you're already working out and this isn't terribly challenging. The next variation we're going to add to this, while we're going to step up, we're going to go into a squat, and then we're going to come back down. So we're going to go up. I want your feet hip width apart. We're going to come down slowly. Only work within your own range of motion. I don't want your heels lifting up off the plate. I don't want this. I want straight. It's the legs we're trying to work. And for those of you that are working on weight loss, it's these muscles that are going to burn the most calories. If you're older like me, if you do this kind of stuff early in the day, it's going to boost your metabolism and elevate it throughout the day so those idle calories are being burned more readily. If you have joint issues, bad knees, bad hips, bad attitude, you do not need to do movement. A better way to perhaps do a squat for you is in different angles. So working within your own range of motion, let's move on to just a squat variation and just hold still. You'll feel the tension and the movement of the plate build. I don't want knees coming. Your body's going to try and do all kinds of things to throw you off your game. It's always looking for the path of least resistance. So start deep. And, depending on your current level of conditioning, maybe you last 10, 15 seconds. Instead of, quitting altogether, just come up a bit. And you'll feel the sensation in different areas. So when you work with static positions, especially in things like your squats, some of the push-ups I'm going to get to, it's really easy to maybe there's areas you're trying to target, be it for strength, toning purposes. The more you kind of do not move and just change the angles and hold still, you'll feel exactly where you're targeting. Okay, so I'm going to get a little bit more of an angle here. So we're going to, this variation, for those of you that want to increase your results and reduce the amount of time, I'm going to lean to an accessory. I've done this with a ball. This is the yoga, the swirl set that Life Pro sells. This is the smaller one. And what I'm going to do with this, because I'm all about more in less time. So I'm doing my squats, I'm working my thighs, I'm working my glutes, but it's that part that wears out the jeans first. Okay. If you take this, or if you have a ball around the house, roll up a towel, I'm placing it just above the knees. This small one is for my height, just about the right distance apart to keep my feet aligned, hip width apart. For those of you that are dealing with neurological conditions, a lot of those of you in my CP group that have a tendency, for the knees to do this kind of thing, this is a great way to keep that alignment while you're working on your standing exercises. But for those of you that are joining me because it's the last workout of 2023, this is going to make your squat harder. So we're standing on the machine. We're putting the smallest size swirl wheel or a ball, something about 6 to 8 inches, depending on your height. And we're going to squat again. So now all these muscles are engaged, but so are the inner and outer thighs because they got to hold this darn ring in place. But it's a really great way to, if you struggle with good technique, you find your knees are wobbling, this is a great way to ensure that alignment, and you're going to feel those legs burn in every area as you're doing your squat. If you're feeling comfortable and stable, you can turn that into dynamic movement. If you really want to push yourself, for those of you that are conditioned and just wanting to pick it up, grab some weights, put on a weight vest. There's all kinds of ways that you can challenge yourself further while you're on the plate. So this is a really good tip that I recommend you consider just adding even to your existing routine if you're not doing those types of variations right now. The next thing we're going to move on to, I want to do some plank work. So for those of you that have joined me in past workouts, when I'm doing my plank work, I always do my plank work before I do additional upper body. Many of my ladies just don't have the upper body strength. And because you require your arms for your planks, I want to have some left over. So if I kill you doing all the push-up work, you're not going to have good technique on your planks. Many of you are also dealing with low back issues, or just sit too much is sometimes another part of the equation. So I'm going to show you a little variation. I know many of you like doing your planks like this. I do not, will not, and do not recommend people put their forearms on the machine. Personal choice. There's more people that will have a poor experience than a positive experience. Most people trying a plank on a vibration machine don't do them regularly on the floor. So now you add this stimulus and more complicated, the technique just goes out the window. For me personally, a little therapeutic action is fine, but if you do want to do a traditional plank, turn it into a push-up. You're going to get more benefits. For today, we're going to take the arms off the machine. I'm reversing the plank, and you can do this facing the floor or the way I'm going to show you right now, which is facing the ceiling. We are going to do both variations. I recommend putting a mat on your machine. We're going to be resting the lower body on the plate with the heels. So how this looks, with a plank, we want to destabilize those muscles. So I would recommend a slower to mid speed just for anything abdominal related. So your planks, your crunches, it's not about going faster. It's about destabilizing, which are what those slower speeds are for. So widen the feet up. Rest your arms on your forearms, and you want your elbows right under your shoulders. And we're going to lift. This is so much kinder on the low back. It's way more on the glutes. If you are dealing with shoulder issues, those type of things, this is a variation of a bridge. So this might be a better exercise if you are dealing with upper body issues. But a reverse plank, you're never going to wrench the back if it's an issue that you're dealing with now. And sometimes with planks, it's about building up that core overall conditioning to get to those exercises, reducing the harm of hurting your back, yada, yada. So this is my preferred way to get started. If this is too hard, I'm about 5'10". If you bring your body closer to the machine, perhaps rest the heels just off. This is a rather large plate surface, but by reducing how long your body is sticking off the plate, maybe starting like this, you're taking some of the body weight out of the equation. It might be a better starting point. And I want you to just focus on breathing, which is really hard when I'm talking. Holding a good position, and when you feel either the shoulders or the core is ready, come down, take a breather, but try and push for 2 to 3 reps. So again, the mean version of this, feet are wide on the platform, resting on the heels. We're going to come up on the forearms, and we're just going to make ourselves flat, just like a table, and hold that as long as you can. Whoo! Gotta lose a layer. Just a moment, please. little toasty. So for those of you that are doing planks or are working up towards doing planks, we can still use the reverse philosophy. We're going to put our feet on the machine, but this time we're going to turn over and we're going to be facing the ground. Okay. So we still want the feet wide. You want your arms under your, you can do this on the forearms. Would look something like this. Okay, make sure we've got a good core. This is not a plank. We want you coming down, but I don't want your back wrenching. So hold a good, solid core. For those of you that are wanting to work upper body as well, even though your upper body is not on the plate, this is a great way to work upper body at the same time. Simply come up off the forearms onto the hands. You can lock your arms if you need to because you're not on the plate. Okay. For those of you looking for a little bit more cardio or doing these types of exercises now, why couldn't you incorporate, I love coming up onto the arms because you can do all these dynamic movements on the plate. So just a variation depending on where you were at. Just try switching your planks around. I think you're going to find you'll last longer. You're more level on the plate, and it's less invasive on the upper body if it's not harmful, but some of you don't like the head buzz or the vibration in the head. You're dealing with sensitivities. This is a great way to still get movement in those areas without the upper body being directly located on the plate. If we were to switch that around, obviously it's harder on the upper body because the stimulation is now on the arms. So for those of you that are conditioned, you are doing push-ups regularly, you may want to switch it around this way. Big key is get the shoulders over the hands. Don't put the head over the hands. You're going to get the most vibration. You can hear it. Push yourself forward so the shoulders are over the hands. And if it's too intense, bring the hands closer. Okay, hold static positions if you feel you're in better shape and you want to add some dynamic movement. Same variations, we're just switching it around. Okay, so that's a little bit of core work. Now, what am I going to move on to? Okay, we are going to move on to, I want to do a crunch. There's two ways that you can use your plate to do a crunch. Now, an oscillating movement, again, it's about that destabilization. I recommend having a mat, especially if you get a tailbone that sticks out. It's kind of uncomfortable for some of these. Okay, so the first way to line yourself up is straightforward. So you're moving this direction in the machine. And if you've never done a crunch before, I would recommend kind of breaking it into two pieces. Keep your feet on the floor. Focus, pretend you've got like a rod from the back of your head to your spine, and this is to stay straight. I don't want to see any bent necks. So put your arms beside you. Arms up here is more body weight, so it's harder. So start with your arms down on your sides and just simply lean back. And you'll get to a point, oh, hang on, I gotta move forward. You'll get to a point where you feel like you have to bend your neck. That means you've gone lower than your body is prepared to support you in this position. So you just want to go to the point where you can still maintain a nice straight neck. Just focus on breathing. This part of the exercise is going to hit those abs from the belly button up, okay, to target what we all want to target, the part from the belly button down, the mummy tummy, the pooch, whatever you want to call it. That requires your legs. So the variation would be this, from there lifting up the legs. If this is something that you're looking at laughing, saying, it's impossible, Debbie, I can't do that, you can target the legs specifically and leave the upper abs out of it by bringing your hands down on the ground. So put your hands on the ground, take the upper abs out of it, and just focus on those legs, perhaps extending them, okay? I don't want anybody wrenching their back, and as much as everybody wants a six-pack, unfortunately, it does require working those areas. So if you have a sensitive back, it's deconditioned, this is a great way to break this simple exercise into two pieces so you can kind of control the intensity in those areas and just make sure that you're doing it safely for your body type. So again, upper, you want to make sure we're straight. If you need support for the lower, put your hands on the ground. But ideally, this is called a V-sit. And I prefer, until you get more comfortable with dynamic movement and you're stronger, I don't want to see dynamic movement. But for those of you that are doing dynamic movement, what are you doing now? The plate, again, is just an environment. Maybe you're doing some bicycles. Maybe you're doing some dynamic. It really depends on where you're at in your current conditioning. What I want you to make sure from a time perspective, because that's how long do I do these for, Debbie? I want you getting to fatigue. So if you want a longer workout, if you're the type of person that likes 20 minutes, a half hour, you might be doing 2 to 3 minutes per exercise. If you're like me and you've got a fruit platter you need to make for New Year's Eve and you've got kids upstairs that need lunch and time is always short, I like to kill myself and be fatigued within 30 seconds to 1 minute per exercise. What that entails is making it challenging and hard for my conditioning and my body type. So if I want to be done in 30 seconds, my crunches are looking, fast and dynamic. But just like anyone, if I haven't done a certain exercise in a while, it takes me a few sessions to, get used to the moves and make sure the technique is there. So it's not always about a whole new bunch of exercises. Sometimes it's just refining and tweaking what you're trying to do now and being more consistent in doing it. It doesn't have to be a big 20-minute, half-hour commitment. 5 to 10 minutes of kicking your own butt first thing in the morning goes a long way. We're going to get into some massage, but I want to do one last push. This is kind of my own little cheesy thing I do at the end of each workout. It's called the Superman pose, the super squat, whatever you want to call it. I like to weight myself up. I usually add some weights or a weight vest. This is a static squat. Again, I recommend hip width apart. If you are conditioned, you can stand wider in a squat because it's not traveling up the body in the same fashion as if you're just standing and doing some pelvic tilts or something. So it's okay to go wider if you're comfortable. For this one, I just want you to push yourself to go as deep as your range of motion allows and put your arms out straight in front of you. It's kind of a counterbalance thing. And just hold until you can't hold no more or your position starts to feel like you need to be compromised. And it's just 30 seconds to a minute, one final push on those legs, the glutes, and you should be huffing and puffing. So for massage, the massage that I'm going to show you guys could be a warm-up before you go do something else at the gym or other activities outside. For us, it's +5 Celsius here today. So for the last day of December, that's a rarity. We're usually more like -30. So, perhaps you're outside doing other things. Massage is also a great way to wind down. If you are coming from the gym, you've been just physical today and you've got some aches and pains. Massage is also very good for skin tone. So for the weight loss and the toning side of this discussion, if there's troublesome areas on your body and you want to massage them, I like high speeds. I recommend oscillating. For those of you that have a Rumblex, some of you like to use pulsation. It's certainly another option. I don't find it as strong or as intense as using the machine and oscillating. My first is calves. So we're starting with our calves on the plate. You can sit your bum on the ground like I have done. Your heels are popped just off the edge of the plate so that meaty underside of the calf is on there. If you deal with lymphatic issues, swelling in the ankles, you sit too much throughout the course of the day, and you just want to move some lymph, a really good way to do this one is just lay right down, and then the legs are higher than the rest of the body, okay? I will do this for about a minute, and then I move up. My next one. This is a larger model, plate surface-wise, than many of the ones you might be working with. Depending on how tall you are, on this model, I'm getting my the underside of my thigh and most of my glutes on it. If I was on the mini waiver, I'd have to do this in 2 rounds because it's not as wide as the platform I'm working on. If you're sensitive to head vibration, you can just sit forward slightly. Just like when you're standing, how much action you're getting. If your feet are closer to the center, you're not getting as much. If your feet are wider, you're getting more. So it really depends just on your level of comfort. I find with the thighs and the glutes, our meatier areas, we're fine with high speed and intensity. It's not fatiguing. It just feels good. If you're just starting massage for the first time, or vibration plates in general, one of the most common things that everyone experiences is itchiness or tingly or pins and needles in many different ways. It's a good thing. It's an increase in circulation. The systems in your body get things churning. If you're dealing with chronic issues, things like neuropathy, lymphedema, lipedema, where the lymph or the nerves have been inactive, let's say, for periods of time, the severity may be worse. So you might be really, really itchy. It could be borderline painful. But I find if you understand and expect that this is just a process you go through, please push through. Reduce your time and intensity perhaps for the next few sessions. But generally speaking, within a week or two of consistent regular use, that pins and needles, that itchiness dissipates. If you are dealing with neuropathy and it's an increase in sensation thing, drop foot, any of these conditions where there's nerves affected, you will with continued use, you will note continued improvement. So please stick with it. But if it is terribly uncomfortable, reduce the intensity, reduce the time, maybe do a few short sessions throughout the day versus one long one, and stay hydrated and get your rest. Common sense things to complement any activity you're doing. So this one, another variation that you can do is you can lean back. If you're really, really sensitive to the head vibration, this is how you get it out of the equation completely. It lines me up for my next position quite nicely, which is the low back, the tire, that part that sticks out over the top of your jeans. You move your bum forward. You lay your back down, bring those knees up, and just rest yourself on your forearms. By lifting your legs, it gets the small arch out of your back. This is more, you'll feel it more in the glutes, which is great. Maybe if you're constipated or you got a little upset tummy, maybe you're dealing with some Crohn's and colitis. But by lifting up the knees, you're going to push the small of the back into this. This is more about skin tone. This is also a great one just for low back tension and pain. If you're doing it for feel good, number one best add-on to your vibration machine is the step. Why, Debbie? Because it gives you more surface to be lazy around your machine. The Aeroflex step is the same height as Life Pro's machines. So it gives you more surface the same height as your machine, whether you're standing or you want to do some massage like me. What I like to do here is I just like to lay down completely. So instead of holding myself up, I just lay on the step. Maybe even get yourself a pillow. If you are dealing with chronic back issues, I think you might find this a little bit more comfortable. And it's also easier to get up off the machine because you're not right down on the floor. So this is, again, 1 to 2 minutes per exercise. If you're looking at targeting more the outer thighs, the hips, sit yourself up, move slightly this way or that way, and just lay down on that hip. So now we've got the outer hip, outer thigh. We're going to bring this leg, lay it down on top. You can just hold yourself up like I'm doing on the ground, or if you want to be lazy, lay on the step. Maybe you've got a little ottoman, and you would flip over to do the other side. This is a good one, not only for skin tone, but if you do have hip issues, it just feels good. I'm not using a mat. I find I've got the machine the wrong way for my massage here. I find for massage when I'm doing these areas, I've got enough padding. I don't need the mat. It's more where you're putting elbows or knees or certain body parts, the tailbone, that you might need a little bit of cushion, depending on the type of plate surface you have. So I've scooched down a little bit. So we were working on the tire on the back that sticks out over the jeans. This is hitting the side tire, the love handles, if you will. So you can just wiggle yourself down a little bit to get that on the machine. And of course, you would flip over to do the other side. The last one I'm going to show you is the tops of the thighs. I don't have so much cellulite and lumps and bumps as I used to, but I do find if I don't stick with my massage regularly, it does resurface. I'm over 50. So the top of the thighs, is where I not only get some tension, but I got lots of varicose and spider veins and all that kind of stuff. So for this one, we're going to flip over. We're going to lay this part on the machine. Kneecaps are just off. Again, you can hold yourself up on your forearms. In this case, I'm going to leave the step in place just to give you that visual as well. So we're going to lay down. Oh, I hit the button. I usually have the buttons here for this reason. Okay. Kneecaps are just off. If you don't have the step, you can hold yourself up like this. I like to lift my feet up. It gets more body weight into it, stretches the thigh a little bit, okay? If you want a bit more body weight into it, you can hold yourself up. But I like to just relax, lay down on the step, chill. You can sort of move your legs from side to side. Experiment with your angles. The more you kind of wiggle around with your body, you might say that I've got pain in my upper thigh, but only you know the spot. So experiment with your angles and how you're laying on the machine to target different areas. Now, there's other body parts. You are only limited by your imagination and your range of motion, especially when it comes to massage. I don't want you guys doing any of these positions if it now takes you 20 minutes to get up off the floor. If you're finding getting up off, these are the positions you want to do, but getting up off the floor is, it might debilitate you for the rest of the day. You need to be working on the earlier stuff, the squats, the steps ups, the functional stuff, so that you can get down to these exercises. It's never the getting down on the ground. It's the getting back up that always presents the challenge. So I hope that was some ideas for you guys today. And it's very hard to talk and not sound winded when you're doing work where you're pushing your body. But the big goal, if you're looking at some fitness gains, some weight loss, some toning and some trimming in the new year, is being consistent and doing the right types of exercises. And, it doesn't have to be a whole routine. 2 to 3 minutes of mean ass squats first thing in the morning go a long way. There's been some discussions in my groups lately. Oh, Debbie, how do you stay fit? And what's your diet plan? And, how do you, 20 years ago, I had a knee issue and I had a doctor tell me that I was old and I was fat and I couldn't run and I couldn't jump because I had no knee that would support me. So I fell into the plates 20 years ago as a means of weight loss. And now I'm like one of the world people that teaches doctors and neuros. So if I can do this and be successful with it, so can you. And I think really where the success with me personally and many of my clients over the years on the machines has come from is it's not only something they can do, it's something they enjoy to do. So a vibration plate is simply an environment that takes those traditional floor-based exercises and takes a lot of the impact and exertion on your part out of it. But you have to be the one showing up and doing the work regularly. So if you are dealing with chronic symptoms, it's about moving and feeling better first. Don't beat yourself up if you can't do some of this stuff. I couldn't do some of this stuff 20 years ago. And what the machines have taught me is good technique, consistency, and it's quick. I've never stuck with anything in my life. And I've been doing this almost 20 years. So thank you very much, Facebook user. Great workout. There was a little bit of talking in there, but again, it was really only like 3-4 different exercises. It's about picking the right exercises for your goals and being consistent with them. And we're all very much creatures of habit. One of the big things that I used to do in my studio classes with my husband and I is it wasn't about new exercise. Monday was change day. So people would come, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, or Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday. And Monday would be the changes. So maybe it was a longer duration. Maybe it was a different setting on the machine. But the exercises themselves, because we were dealing with a group situation, needed to not only be simple, but easily taught to anybody joining in the classes. So by keeping your exercises simple and consistent and just tweaking them with a few variations, maybe you're adding one of the yoga swirl rings, maybe it's a ball, maybe you're just adding 10 pounds to the existing workout that you're doing now. Stick with what you know and what you're good at. There is also a psychology. You go to a gym and you don't know how to do any of this stuff. It's very intimidating. So, knowing how to do your exercises and do them well presents some pride. And with that comes confidence. So maybe it's just a matter of varying and tweaking and polishing some of the exercises that you're doing now or are supposed to be doing now. I hope that makes sense. So who's got questions for me? I know Facebook user is here. I I don't know what your plans are for New Year's Eve, but I hope you have some. And if you're just spending time with yourself, sometimes I used to live way up in north, and I didn't make it home to see my family very often for Christmas. And first couple of years, I had a bit of a pity party, but after a while, it was kind of, you never get time off by yourself to just do nothing. If you want to sleep in, you can. If you want to stay up late and watch movies, you can. So if you do find yourself alone, have your own little party. What movies have you been meaning to see but have never watched? What foods have you wanted to experience but none of your friends are ever interested in? So celebrate yourself if that's who you're spending time with today. I'll be spending some time with family. We've all got similar age kids. So for me, at my point in life, it's not about the big party and celebration. It's about getting the kids together and letting them have some fun. So I want to thank you for joining me today. Again, if you do have any questions and you're watching this on a recorded basis, if you ever have questions in any of my sessions, tag me at Debbie with a Y. Sometimes the chatter gets going a little bit. And if you don't tag me, I don't always get the notification because I have quite a bit of traffic on Facebook through my other pages. So I don't want to miss you. If you have questions, tag me at Debbie with a Y. If you're looking at embarking on something new for the new year, many of you got equipment from Black Friday or some of the good deals Life Pro was offering over the holidays. Not everyone fits into that cookie cutter manual in the book. And if you're struggling with where to start or what do I do, it's generally associated with you're probably not a regularly active per purpose person now. That's not a bad thing. You're making the steps to change that, but keep it simple. Keep it something you enjoy to do, and focus on any symptoms or deficiencies that may be holding you back short term. And you'll find you'll progress with more confidence if you can trust that knee, or if you're feeling your feet when you're using your vibration machine. So just some tips from me. This is my 18th new year supporting folks on the machines, and the common questions are how long, what speed. Again, the machine is just an environment. What you bring to the equation and what you do on the machine is very much aligned with your goals and the body that you're starting with. So there's always a way to use your machine, not only from a fitness and weight loss perspective, but it's a great lifestyle tool for managing symptoms, fatigue, poor circulation. Sometimes we just don't think about it. So if you don't feel like doing a workout, don't do one, but do something, a couple minutes, get the lymph get moving and feeling better. It's not always about the big workout. So thank you very much, guys. If there's no questions, I'm going to let you get to your evening, and I'll see you guys next year. We only get to say that so often. I will see you guys, not tomorrow, but the following Monday for some type of a session, and I'll get that posted up very soon. I wish you all a great end to 2023, and I wish everything that you deserve and have worked for in 2024. Thank you so much. Don't forget the review contest. I will put some comments in the links after this is posted to the group so you can find your way to that, and have a great Christmas. You don't have to work out hard. You just have to get started one step at a time. Have a happy new year, guys. I look forward to seeing you and supporting you guys in 2024.